don't know why it's so difficult to answer. Are you aware of MongoDB or not? Have you ever done anything with MongoDB? It's okay if you have not done, it's okay if you have done. But I should know. No, okay, fine. So, let us just start with an overview of MongoDB. And then we will, it's okay, we are done. Okay, we will start with a brief introduction of MongoDB. I will not cover a whole lot because as we do this demo, you will understand quite a bit of how MongoDB works. It's very interesting and very simple. So we can illustrate how it works, and then maybe you can see it better. You can understand better. Okay. So okay, let me start with a little overview of MongoDB. Okay, so MongoDB. Okay, is there a lag? No, it's okay. So we will talk about MongoDB a bit and understand how it works. Now, actually, MongoDB is also a database system, just like your SQL database. Only difference is here all the documents are stored in generally in the structure. So in SQL databases you have tables, and in tables you have rows, right? Or records. We call them sometimes rows, sometimes records. Okay. In MongoDB, in place of a table we have collections. And in place of records, we have documents. Now, where is the key difference? The key difference is in a Oracle or an SQL based database, all the rows have to have the same columns. Okay? They need to have the same columns. That is, if the first row has employee number, employee name, salary, designation, then all the records follow this pattern. That is not necessarily true with MongoDB, where the document honestly can have a different structure. Generally what they do is they can have more. So employee number, employee name, salary, designation, and there may be, for example, here URL of the image of the person. I'm just making it up. So this could be for some people. For some people it could be just employee number, employee name, salary. For some people it could be a little different. Okay, so each document need not follow the same structure as another document, though it normally does. But then if it what is normally the case is each document will have a similar structure than like a table, like a row. Then you'll ask, yes, we understand that potentially each document can look different from another, which is part of the collection. But then when you are saying that all the documents are similar, then you are saying that basically they are like records in a table. No, but then still there is a difference. Here, for example, let's say there is a field called ename. Now, ename here in relational databases is always an atomic field, meaning ename cannot be split further. So, if you want to store under ename last name, middle name, and first name, you can't do that here. You have to create another field or another table where you have to have all this ename mapped to lname or employee number mapped to lname, middle name, first name. You can't have each column in SQL has to be atomic. That is, this column has to be atomic. It cannot be split further. Whereas here, because it's stored in what is called as a JSON format, nesting, JSON is JavaScript object notation. Nesting can be easily done. So you can have ename. So you can have enumber as string, salary as float, and then ename can split into three. This could be the bigger structure, the employee structure. In that, ename itself can be a structure, which is fname. Okay, you call it ename like this, or first name string, middle name string, last name string. You can do that, and you can have a nesting for ename itself, okay, which is not possible in this table. So nesting is a very important thing in many of our systems, especially when you are dealing with unstructured data. We will have text in it, we'll have images in it and all that, whereas this is good to deal with structured data. Okay. So when you are having a very clean structure, maybe SQL databases can be used. When the structure is not defined well, that means some documents have one structure, some others don't. And the second point is, when there is nesting required, then people go and prefer MongoDB. This is the reason MongoDB has caught on big time, or it is non-SQL databases. Okay, this comes under the general category of non-SQL databases, have caught on much more than this database. Okay, so nowadays most of our, if you see MERN, the M in MERN is MongoDB, or the M in mean is also MongoDB. So this has become a de facto platform for storing of document data or data which comes from today's net, where certain fields are there, certain fields are missing, certain fields are more, certain fields are described in a nested way. All this flexibility comes in Mongo or non-SQL databases, is not there in SQL databases. Okay? So this is a key difference. There are many other differences, but at this stage, let's keep ourselves limited to some of the salient differences. And you will understand as we go through this tutorial a little more detail about how MongoDB is to be included and how it is going to work and all of that. So before we proceed, what you need to have is, you need to have MongoDB installed on your machine. Okay, so I think you have to do a pip install, or
separately.
Okay, you have to install it separately. So I'm assuming that by now most of you know, you're in second year, so you should know how to install stuff. So I'm assuming that you know how to install MongoDB. If you don't, there is I'm sure a lot of information available on the net, and most of the time it goes through very seamlessly. There won't be any issue.
I have one link to install.
Huh? I don't know. Let them install. I think you can install MongoDB on your own. So here we'll assume that you have installed MongoDB, which you can do later, and this tutorial is based on using MongoDB with Flask. Okay, so we are going to start this tutorial. Now this, I know, is a very, very crude and very beginning introduction to MongoDB, but I think maybe at some other point we can have a more elaborate discussion on MongoDB itself. At this stage, because we are eager and in a hurry to work with our MongoDB with Flask so that we can store data, we will post a link to a tutorial here, and we suggest this is a link, this is a tutorial. We'll post a link to the tutorial in the chat, and I suggest you take this tutorial and you also open up and follow with us. Okay, so here is the link, and I'm sure you can follow with us as we go. We are integrating Flask with MongoDB, and we are going to walk through steps. Okay, so we are assuming you have a MongoDB instance, MongoDB. Also, there is a MongoDB available on cloud, which you don't have to install on your machine, but I suggest you should still do. that is called the MongoDB Atlas, which you can use, which is a hosted instance from the MongoDB people, which you can use from anywhere. But I think you should install a local instance of MongoDB and start. So I think you have already installed Flask. Now we will need a special package to use with MongoDB. So let me talk about that first. Okay, that is called Flask PyMongo. Okay, now let's look at. So you'll have to install. Okay, so here is the first important thing that. Okay, yeah. So this is the thing you have to do. So you have to first install Flask, which I'm assuming you have installed. Then there is this kind of a plugin, call it plugin or call it a helper or whatever, which will enable your Flask application to talk to Mongo. So that is called Flask PyMongo. So using that, you can talk from Flask backend to MongoDB, which is necessary. So you can install Flask PyMongo and do this. Okay, and then if we have installed both these, then you are ready to write your Flask program. We will start with this. So in your Flask program, Python Flask program, you will have to do this. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So you have to, from Flask PyMongo, you have to import PyMongo. Okay. Otherwise, you cannot talk to PyMongo using Flask. So you have to be careful. So we have to import PyMongo from Flask PyMongo and import Flask. So these are the two things which we need before we can start integrating your Flask application. So these two are needed. Okay. So I think we can now get rid of this. Okay, now we can get into the core and see how we can now start integrating. Okay, let's start. This font is better. Okay, now you imported these two. Now you have to say, you know how to do that. So your name will be generally main if you're running it this way. So you create your app object, which is nothing but your application, your Flask application. So you create the Flask application. Then this is the important line. These two lines are important. This you know already. Okay, so this we have to do. So you have to say, now you have to create a MongoDB client which will connect your app, your Flask app, which is running on the web server, which will run the web server rather, to MongoDB. Now, let me illustrate what we are going to do, and there will be some differences. It is like this. So, MongoDB client, that is what you are going to call your connection from your app to MongoDB. So, you use the PyMongo package, or PyMongo will come from that PyMongo thing. So, it will have this function PyMongo. It will take two parameters. App, which is our app object which we have just created as usual, and connect our app object to this URL, which is the URL of MongoDB. Okay. Now MongoDB runs as a server. So in this case, he's using a MongoDB running on your local machine. So he's saying, I want to connect to MongoDB. This is a protocol, like in place of HTTP. We are using the MongoDB protocol. Where is the MongoDB running? On localhost. This is the default port on which MongoDB runs. This is the default port on which MongoDB runs. And this is the name of the database to which it connects. Or we can call it the name of the collection, right?
Database only.
No, sorry, it is the name of the database. This database will have a collection, and that collection will contain documents. Sorry, this is a database. Now you can call this database by this name, or you can call it by another name. And then your DB is MongoDB client, which will give you the whole thing, .db. The DB field of your Mongo client is actually the database connection, which you'll need. Okay, Mongo client is just a client which connects your app to this database, and MongoDB client.db is the DB. Now you'll ask, from where did this database come from? So I think we'll briefly go to the MongoDB running on this platform and see whether we can use some other database or we'll use the name of this database itself. Okay, so let me rub this off, and we will see the MongoDB running on this machine. We'll go to the screen for MongoDB on this machine and check where is it running. Watch the URLs. So we are starting Mongo on this machine. We started Mongo, so we just say Mongo and it starts. So we can have a slightly bigger font, I think. Properties. Yeah. Okay. So we just, as you can see here at the top, we just wrote Mongo and the Mongo started after it's installed. Now we can see what are the databases. No? So show DBS. Okay. This will show the databases which are there. We have not created our database. So we'll not create it as to do DB. Let's call it some other name. Let's call it employee database. So use emp db. Okay. So switch to db emp db. So the moment you say use, a database is created, and its name will be emp-db. So we can connect to this database. We just said use. You just give a name of the database. If it is not there, it will create it and switch it to that. Now the current database is mdb. Now if we say show collections, no? There are no collections now there. Okay. Now we can say we will create a collection there. No, you want to do it here, or we'll create it from the code? Code will create, no?
No, collection is not to create separately.
No, Baba. If it is not there, it will create. So we will see. So now, if this is there, okay, if we get the MongoDB database to that, so we will write this in code and see this 4 or 5 lines. Okay, let's pick up these lines and start writing the code, or if he has some code already. Okay, no, let's take that code if he has. Let's go down. This is the create code. No. Okay. PPT. Then we'll come here.
No, you have to copy one by one.
No, you will have bigger code. Oh, okay, it's pieces.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we have a pre-created piece which you can pick up from the tutorial also. So we'll change it a bit if needed. No, this is okay.
Copying to new document.
Huh? Okay, so we'll call that database as mdb, because our database we created, you see, is mdb. No, that line is not needed. Line 6 and 8 is not needed. Anyway, you got the client, no? That is another way of getting a client. Okay. So this now represents our connection with the database. We'll just check whether this works. There's nothing happening. It just means that there is a database and we are connecting to it.
How do it mean?
So yeah, we can say run. Just put run there. If name is equal to the run, so that the system runs. Remember, we have not done anything. Okay, so it just runs. Okay, so yeah, the server is installed. There is some kind of warning. This is a development server. Okay, that is all fine. Nothing is there. Okay, nothing is hosted. So we're just running an app server. That's all. But our app is now connected to the database. You see, using this line, our app is connected with the database. Okay. So yeah, and it is running, but it's not doing anything with the database. Okay. So let's go there and see. Acha, there is a user interface to Mongo. What is it called? Which we can show rather than writing commands. Compass. So we will also start Mongo Compass, so that when you create data here, this is just a GUI to the MongoDB. Okay, it's just starting. This is a GUI to MongoDB. It's called MongoDB Compass. It comes along with MongoDB. Okay. Now we just have to indicate to which collection we have to connect and give our string there. So the same string which we give, the same string which we use in our program, we'll type there or we'll paste there. Okay, the same string, MongoDB localhost, yeah, that is the URL of our database. So we'll paste that in the Compass, which is the GUI, and so it will connect and as connected to our database. Database is MDB is not there. Oh, it's not created because we didn't do anything with it. We just mentioned it. No, it will create now. Okay. So far it has not been created. It is just a connection. It is just a URL and our application is running. Okay. We have not activated the link yet. So fine. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. This we can skip. Now let's create the database collection and a document. So see the way it does. Okay. So we'll pick up this code. You have this?
Yes, sir.
In that. Okay. So let's understand what this does. Okay. Very important. Now our app is running. Now we have created a route, okay, to the app, and now you see what will happen. Okay, let me illustrate here with this. Okay, please watch what is happening. Now by this line we have created. Let me change the. Okay, okay. Right now we are at this line where we have established the connection with the MongoDB. Now, since this is an app server, we are adding a root, add one, and when that root is selected in your URL, in your whatever, Mozilla browser or whatever, this function will be getting called at the back end, at the Flask side. Now this function will be called. Look at what this function is doing. It is saying DB, that is it's referring to the MongoDB, dot to-dos. Now the to-dos is the name of the collection. So if it is not existing, we'll change it to employees, because we are creating an employee. So if that collection doesn't exist, it will create it. And if the database doesn't exist, it will create it. And in that it will insert one document. Now that document, you see the syntax. Document has key value, key value. So in our case, we want to say, we want to have three fields: employee number, employee name, salary. Okay, so our thing will be employee number, colon, some employee number, which may be a number or whatever, which will be given in string form. Then we will have title, no title, employee number something, employee name something, and salary something. And then we'll insert one, and then we'll convert the answer, in case we are successful, into a success message. So let's adapt it a little bit and change it a little bit and see. how it works. So let's rub this off first. Whatever markings I have. Yeah. So let's change that insert one little bit. So the first field we are creating, there we have to change it to employees, because that's going to be the name of our collection. And in that one, document is getting created. Document means record, which is getting created. Now the name of that record is employee number, and its value is some number 101. And the second field which is getting created is employee name. So that is Gopal, let's say. And we'll create a third field which is salary. Initially everything will be string. We'll not worry about the type now. So we'll say salary. Salary in single quote. Generally the field single quote, value in double quote. So salary 15,000. Okay. So this is what will happen. So let's see whether we are able to run this and do. Okay, so we'll run it again, this code. So we'll have to say add one on the browser. Okay, so here we'll have to say this is where it is hosted, add _1. Okay, we do that. We got a message success. So this message came, as you can see, in a JSON format where the key is message and value is success. That's because we asked the response to be JSONified. JSONified means whatever the string is there, converted into a JSON object. This is a JSON object, JavaScript object notation object. So this is a JSON object with key and value. Every JSON object has a key and a value. So we did that. So now, if you observe carefully, let us see what happened. If this has run successfully, it is saying success. But the proof of the pudding is, I have to go to the database and check whether it is actually inserted or not. So we can go to Compass, Compass and check what has happened. So again, let's see whether the database got created. Go back.
Which one?
You have to, no, you have to refresh database name. This is showing what it was earlier. Now, it should show 4. Go to that arrow there. It's showing 3 dBs. No? Refresh. Now, okay, just wait. See, we didn't have the. We just clicked the refresh button. When you click the refresh button, we got MDB as our database, which was created just now. So watch MDB. In that, automatically a collection got created, employees. And if you go to that collection, so far we have created one record in that collection. So if you go to that collection, you will see one record. If you can make it a little bigger, you can see the record. Okay. Now each record, each document, this is called a document. In Mongo we call it a document. Okay. This is called a document that got created automatically. This ID, every document has its unique ID. This is given by Mongo. This is the ID. Then it has a number which we gave, name we gave, salary we gave. We did this. Okay. So we can create any number of such record. We can also say insert many, which we'll do in a moment. We'll create some 5 or 6 employees so that we can do a query, nice query on it. But before that, let's just do this, and we can then write a nice query for this and demonstrate how this all happens. Okay. So this got created. So we demonstrated what is called create operation. How did it happen? Okay. Now let me elaborate. So on the web page, I said add one. Then it went to Flask. That is our web application. Our Flask was had something connected to this add one. What was connected to add one? There was some JavaScript, Python function connected to add one. No?
Function name is add one.
Achha, function name is add one. Then what was the URL?
URL also add one.
URL was also add one. Okay.
This function.
Acha, URL is also add one, function name is also add one. Okay, fine. We'll go back. So from add one URL, that is localhost :5000 / add one, this URL, it went to this function called add one. So it automatically, this URL invokes this function. That's the beauty of Flask. It invoked this function add one, and when it invoked the function add one, this function add one used a Mongo connection and inserted a data in the Mongodb, inserted one record in Mongodb, which was hard coded. Whereas in real life, how this will happen? This is what we are going to demonstrate in the next class. We are going to create a screen. We are going to create a form, and that form will be seen by the user. So the form will enter. The form will be like this: employee number, employee name, salary, maybe some other fields also. He'll enter all of this, hit OK button. Then this function will be called, or this URL will be invoked with the method of post. Okay. So then this function will be called. This function will extract these values from the form, and we'll see how. It will say something like this: request dot form e number will be its value. In place of insert, as a parameter to insert one, it will use this. Okay, request dot form employee number, request dot form employee name, like that, and it will insert into MongoDB, and whatever MongoDB says, success or whatever, it will send it back. So that is what will happen. So this is, we are just showing this URL and how it invokes this Flask function. How does this invoke MongoDB? So that code we have just shown you how it executes. Okay, now we will see, can I insert multiple records? Okay, at one go. I can. So let's erase this and then see if we can insert multiple records at one go. This is just showing the capabilities of Flask or PyMongo to all of this. So if you see this code, add many if it is invoked. So its URL is also add many. Now we can create a bunch of employees here. We can use IDs like this, or we can ID, if you don't give, automatically gets created. So we will not let that be getting created automatically. And we can change this. I don't know whether I need to do this for you, but only thing is there are one or two peculiarities that you have to keep in mind, which is like this. Okay, so you have to have a square bracket because you're having a set of JSON objects. This is one object. You're sending to the database an array of JSON objects at one go, and the data is getting created. So let's lift this piece of code for a moment, change this to suit us, and we will do that so that we can do querying in a moment. Since this is also a first introduction to Mongo, we'll pick up this code. So there is a add many also. We'll pick it up and add it to our Visual Studio or VS Code. So here insert many, we will do it in employees. Okay. That is the database we are working with. Sorry, the database is MDB. The collection we are doing is employees. Employees is the name of the collection, like a table. So we are going to pick up that and add it there. Okay, good. So 102, ename salary 20,000. So we'll create some 3-4 records. Let him create that. We will wait patiently for him to finish that and watch. See, we are creating some more records using insert many. This is also there in SQL, where you want to insert a set of rows, use the bulk insert. But you don't use insert many. You have to use a some kind of a loader in order to do multiple inserts. So 4 records are over. No? 4 are enough. Okay, we'll not keep adding too much. So this is insert many, and if you get a success, we will message the success. So this is what it is. So add many will insert 3 rows. Okay. Now let's see, if I say add one again, I should get an error because I'm trying to insert again. It will be a duplicate. Let's see what happens. Just for the sake of doing it, let's say add one first. Okay, which we have already done. Okay, it still says success, but I think it doesn't add anything. Okay, now we'll say add many, which will call the add many function, and it still gives message success. But the proof of the pudding is you have to go to the database, that is to Compass, and check. Now you see we have 2 times 101 because we don't have that uniqueness support and all that. It created one more time because we have not yet learned how to make things unique or whatever. So so let's delete 101, the first 101. You can select and delete it. Anyone. We deleted it. Okay, so we have only 101, 102, 103, 104, 104. 101, 102, 103, 104. Okay, we have these 4 records in employee DB. We have created them. Okay, so that's pretty easy. As you can see, this is the code and this is the VS code which runs for it. So we are picking up from the link that we gave. We have not done one code outside except we have changed some of the code. Okay, so now we are getting a success. So look at how easy it is to convert from the screen into the database, right? This is a very good thing about the Flask framework. That is very quick. That's why Flask is popular, and very quickly you can create stuff and get it into the database. Yeah. Only thing is I have not shown you a form, which I can show you in the next session. It's very simple. Okay. So we have learned how to do insert many. So let's go down and see whether we can now. So this is insert many. So in case there is an error, we'll write that. Okay. Now forget that right now. So now we will see how to retrieve data. Okay. Now what will find do? Okay. This will retrieve everything and show it to us. Okay. And it will JSONify everything. Okay. So this is a interesting function to look at. Okay. Let's see what it does. If I do a slash, this is what gets invoked. So let's look at this function. So if I do a slash, this home function will get called. It will go to DB. Our database is mdb.employees.find. It will pick up all employees, bring them into this list. Okay. And then it will JSONify that list like this. JSONify for to do in to dos, that is the name. For employee in employees, take it and JSONify the employee who is coming from employees in employee. For employees in employee, you can do some manipulation also here. You can say employee dot something, but we don't want to do that. So this find can also take a filter, which we have not given, but which we will not do now. We'll just pick up this and then we'll give filter. Filter means like select operation or like the where condition, right? So we don't have a where condition right now. It is like select star from the entire table. So this is equivalent to select star from the entire table. So that is what we are doing. I'm sure people here, at least some of you who are a little bit computer science oriented, will know that if you do select star from emp, this is what will happen. It will go to the table, get all the rows and display them to you. So this is the only thing we are doing it in the web, on the internet. So if you give a slash, we'll see a nice JSON file, JSONified output, okay, which will look like a JSON object. You can see a JSON object array. See, there will be an array here. So let's pick this up, copy it and make suitable changes so that it will work for us. Okay. So we've copied it. Now we'll go to our Visual Code and do this. Okay. So after this, we'll add one more root. Okay, slash root. we'll say employees, employees plural. That is the thing which we'll find from employees. Same thing, employees.find. So this is a pool of employees. So we'll JSONify employees for we now have to say for employee in employees. What do we display? No, employee, single employee.
This is employee.
Employee spelling is SS, huh? Okay.
Okay, my mistake.
Ade okate. No, that make it singular. Of course, it depends on whatever you want call. For emp in employees, for EMP, for each emp in employees, do what? Display that emp. EMP. Ikkada kuda EMP. The employees thesis. First, in place of that, put emp. No, that is okay. That is okay.
This one.
No, in place of
Return style. Okay.
return emp. Whatever you retrieve, is it okay? Employees. Okay, I think it's fine at this stage. Okay, so let's see what we get.
I'll comment this. I'll comment this previous code. Otherwise, it lets it again.
No, let it be now. What is it now?
Again, they will be inserted now. Duplicates.
Unless you call that root, why will it duplicate? We'll say slash only, no? And the moment you follow the link, you should get. Now slash. We should say slash or change the name of that root to
Slash, we have to give some number.
No, that is later. No, here just say root slash, just say query.
Here.
Query slash query, QURY. It will invoke this function and just go to that code once. db.employees. No, that spelling I'm not sure. It's employees like that only, no?
Yes, sir.
Employee SS.
Yes, sir.
Employee EMPLOYESS. Not find for employees, for emp in employee. Why is it giving error? Okay, let's see. Let's run it. Slash query, no? There is some error which is coming. Okay, so want to do db dot. No, just go once, see whether the name is correct. No, it's correct. I think db dot employees, same thing. It added, no? So find employees. Added. I don't know why we are getting that. Anybody trying this? No. Anybody is trying this and getting similar errors? Because we don't know why we are getting this error. Type of error. Acha, there is some encoder error. Acha, object of type, object ID is not JSON serializable. Acha, he is not sending ID, is it? Of type, object ID is not JSON serializable. Oh, so we can retrieve m.name. Just say m.ename. No, what is the first column? e-number,
E-name.
e-name. Just say we will send back, no, JSONify m dot e-name. Did you write dot?
Yes, sir.
Okay, try now. Say slash query. What's the error we are getting? Go to the console. Dictionary object has no name. E-name. Field name. E-name is. Is it e-name with single? No. I don't know which is the error we are getting. For M employee. No attribute called employee. Okay, just see what is the name of the attribute. Is it to be given in single quote or something?
Tutorial.
In Compass, Atlas, Compass. Go to Compass. No, it's e-name only.
Yes, sir.
Data is correct. ID. See, ID it was not able to serialize is okay, but now there is something else. Name. You want to get a thing in. Now look at the original statement. What did he say for to do in to do's? No? To do's.
To do.
Display to do. Correct. So to do's. Now go down. Let's see. Yeah, these are when you want to use the query format. Come down. Go down a little. Oh, that casting has to be done into ink. And then, no, that is if I get it as a parameter. Now I'm not getting it as a parameter. Okay. We have its ID and we are looking at it. Oh, why is this coming as an error? Just go to Mongo and say if you have to retrieve by field. Find Mongo find retrieve get specific Mongo get specific fields. MongoDB get specific fields. What do we have to say? Project fields to be returned. Set which fields to be returned. You have to pass one more. I think we have to pass one more dictionary. Go there. Not here, Mama. Go there, no?
Yeah.
Okay. Insert many is okay. Come down. Return all fields matching this. This is select star. Return specific fields. find, see, he's creating another dictionary. Item
Status
set.
It is
So
a specific field, right?
only the item set by default ID fields.
We are trying to retrieve the entire document.
Suppress the ID field. So he is suppress के लिए 0 डालना. So we have to say item. We have to add another dictionary and say item 1 status 1 or just say item 1. But in this case we have to say ename 1. We can't retrieve like that. Find now find everything, no, first the first dictionary. So we have to give a comma before that. Just say comma, then write the second dictionary. Status. Does status come in, ename? Ename, does it come in double quotes?
No. In compass it's saying just
No, ikkada kaadu. Query low. What we just saw.
Okay.
You have to say ename, no. You just say colon. Just say ename colon 1. Now try. So we have given, we have not given a filter. Okay, before that. That is, we want everything, but we want only ename.
I think we have to pass empty dictionary here, otherwise it's giving an error. Comma.
Okay, then pass both empty. No condition. Now is it okay?
No. Name is not defined.
Where is it showing error?
Ename. Here.
What is the error? Ename is not
Defined.
put single quotes around it. Right? Query. Alright, remove that name. Fine. Now just say M. JSONify.
Entire thing.
Dot ename thesis. We already mentioned there, no? Now try. It should work. I don't know where. Type error. Acha. Oh, we have to suppress ID. Okay, we now know. ID 0 pattern. In single quote. Its ID is also coming. By default ID comes. No, go to the query.
Yes.
Go to, where we are retrieving that whole thing, na? Abhi, the example that we saw. అక్కడ ఐడి చూడు కింద స్టేటస్ 1 దాని పక్కన ఐడి ఉంది కదా
Yes, sir.
అక్కడ కింద కింద
Suppress ID field.
సప్రెస్ ఐడి అనే వస్తుంది కదా సో దట్ ఆల్సో హ్యాస్ టు బి డన్ సో ఐ థింక్ విల్ హావ్ టు గివ్ సింగిల్ కోట్ ఇన్ క్లాస్ కేర్ఫుల్ బాబా కామా single quote ID 0. Okay, that means we don't want ID, so that JSON error of ID should not come now. Zero, Baba.
0 is 1.
Zero suppress chain. 1 to allow it to come. ID by default is there. So, I don't know how many of you are following, but yeah, to just illustrate what we did, okay, we are getting a JSON object back with all the names. Now, what I did is, I'll just illustrate. This is a little bit of jugglery with Mongo. It's very easy. Go back. Okay. Now, okay, let me focus on this line which we played with a little bit. Look at this line, and that is what we are returning. Emp db for emp. So look at this. What am I retrieving? db.employees. That is the name of the collection. I am doing a find on that collection. Then I am not putting anything here. This is the filter, because I want to retrieve all objects. Now from the what all documents, that is, I want to retrieve all documents. Now for every document, what do I want to retrieve? I want to retrieve only ename. That has to be made 1. Ename 1. So there is a minor thing in the documentation. It says you don't need the single quote, but apparently when you are dealing with Python and all that, you need the single quote around ename. :1 means that this field should not be suppressed, and ID means this field should be suppressed. By default, ID is always enabled, and we were having trouble JSONifying ID. So we said we will handle that trouble later. Generally, IDs are not needed at the front end, but we suppressed the ID because we are getting JSONify error on ID. So we suppressed it. So we are not saying that ID should come, only employee name should come. And then we are JSON. So employees will only retrieve employee name. So for emp in employees, this emp will contain only employee name, because that is a JSON record which will come every time, a JSON document which will come. So this is what will happen. Okay. So this is how you retrieve for data. Okay. Did anyone understand? I'm just curious. Did you understand what we did? First of all, I don't know how many of you are there. Okay. I mean, there in the conceptual sense. 3 are there. Did you understand what I did, or do you need a little bit of elaboration? Okay. Writing ID is a must. Yeah, without that, it is becoming difficult. Yeah, ID is always there. There is always a field _ID in every record of Mongodb. You can make it as something else. There is a way to do it, but if you don't, then ID is always there. Okay. So what we are doing by putting 0 is we are suppressing it. We are saying we don't want it to come in the output. The only field we want in the output is name. Now, if you want some more field like salary, what do you have to do? I'll just show you what will you do for salary, so that maybe it will help you understand, those of you who are there. So salary should be also 1. See, by default, go there, dan tarvata, ename :1 tarvata, quotes lo pettandi, sal :1. 1 means don't suppress it, comma. Okay. ID has to be suppressed. Salary there is no problem, but ID there is a problem. Are quotes?
Yes,
Okay. Okay. Now let's see whether we get salary also in the JSON object which are returned. So we'll write a query. Yeah, you see salary is also getting returned. So there are 4 JSON objects getting returned, each with name and salary. Okay, so all that data is getting returned. Now, did you understand? Now we can write a filter condition also. That is, I want only a certain employee number or a certain employee name. There are a lot of interesting filter conditions. Let's see a few and then we'll continue later. So we are now seeing how to give query. Normally what happens is this query is generated from the screen, so from the form, and then it goes to the database, and then you do a retrieval based on that. You create an output and send it back. When it comes back, okay, let's just step back a little and say how this actually happens. So, okay, you have that screen, no, where we are seeing the output. No, the browsers. See, normally this is how the data is coming back. Okay, so we normally don't show it this way, right? So what do we use? We use some React table or Bootstrap table or something where we'll take this data and convert it into nice looking rows and columns and show this. So we will use some kind of a React or Bootstrap table or Material UI table, which I am going to show you soon. Bootstrap or Material UI kind of UI you will retrieve, and that data you will show here in that Material UI. Okay, we'll see how to use Material UI with these templates. So you will have to have that Bootstrap in that template, and we'll pull it up and do that, and we'll see how to do that. We'll do it step by step. I think we are basically understanding how to interact with Mongodb. Okay, now let's see if we can enter a condition. Okay, okay, so let's do some filtering and then we'll stop. So just see how we do a filter. Let's go back to the tutorial and we'll do some filtering and then enter the data. Okay, we are following the tutorial. Let's go down. Yeah, we are here. So find will just blindly return everything, and we don't want that. So we can enter things like these. Okay, we have this ID. We can describe some constraints on it like this. Okay, so around each field we can write a filter saying greater than something. Okay, this is GT stands for greater than $. So this is a condition which has to be followed by ID in this case. Okay, here the condition is simple. ID should be 3 and title should be this. Only that record you retrieve. So here let's try and do salary greater than, let's say, 15,000. Okay, so we will enter this. We'll borrow that that part. Yeah. So we'll go to filter. Okay, in the find first. No. First.
This one.
First dictionary. First dictionary is filter dictionary. ID name salary. Make it sal. On sal we are writing a condition greater than. Look at this. That condition is also a JSON object. Greater than or equal to 15,000. Okay, 15,000. Greater than or equal to 15,000. 20,000 or 20. Okay. So let's see what we get now. This condition also will come from the user, from the UI. Okay. So we have put a filter condition, and let's see whether that filter condition works. There's some. Okay. We have to do actually a number comparison. I don't know whether it will do it automatically or we have to do something. Okay. So we will close the bracket properly. So this salary, salary itself is a condition, no? So you have to have one more.
More bracket.
One more, and I think one more. Okay. Closing. Salary. Add just one more closing bracket. I think we are okay. Error also, no? Three brackets close. Because three brackets are opening, na?
Yes, sir. 3 is opening, 3 is closing here. This one is free.
Is it showing error?
Yes, sir.
Where?
It's not closed.
No, there was two opening. Acha, okay, that was not closed. So one is enough, no? No, there. 8 minutes.
See, this is first dictionary.
First dictionary low.
Salary.
Salary. That's all. It's saying not closed.
Yes, sir. This one is and you're closing
That is
this one
second
also.
dictionary. So first dictionary low. Acha, you have to have a dictionary within a dictionary, is it?
Expected expression facts. Single quotes are done. Yeah, condition respect this one is open closing. This is also opening closing. This is like
No, just see how they have given once again. See, the dictionary is on ID. ID is double quotes for them. When you write a condition, we also wrote double quote, no?
yes, initially double quotes, just now change to single quotes.
I think that won't matter. Open bracket was not closed, he's saying. Filter, find. What should say?
Syntax.
Invalid syntax near greater than or equal to. The 20,000 has to be in quotes. Sir, Sal is string. Yes. I don't know why this. So greater than or equal to should work, no?
Maybe numbers can cook but it's string.
Just remove that greater than or equal to. Just put. Just put. Remove that also. Salary. Oh, remove that colon. It is not able to do that. Now this is okay, right? Remove one. There are two the closing brackets, no, now for the dictionary. Now is it okay? Where are you seeing the error?
No, it's no, there is no error.
Try now. but this will be hard coded. It will give you only people who are 20,000. Okay. So let's do the query. This will bring only one. Okay, we will resolve this, how to match. Maybe we need to change something. Okay, so here is something which you should know. Anyway, at this stage, maybe we'll edit it a little more. This is the salary field. This is the filter, and this is the projection. So, to give you the analogy with SQL, this is like the where clause, and this is like the select clause. Okay, so we are selecting employee name and salary because their things are one. ID, which is by default selected, we are suppressing it, and the where condition we are saying is where salary is equal to 20,000. Actually, it works greater than or all. I think we will have to convert that into an integer or something in the database and then check. Okay, we'll worry about that later. So we are able to do this, salary equal to 20,000. We are able to do an exact match. Okay, so we are able to retrieve data. So I think we have moved quite a bit today. So we know how to work with MongoDB. We know how to create a database. We know how to create a collection. It happens automatically. Then how to insert data one at a time or many at a time. And more importantly, we saw find takes two parameters. First is the filter, and second is the projection. So we have understood a little bit about. We'll refine our filter a little more and proceed. And this will give us the find. Find returns a collection, actually, a created collection. Then we are moving through every object in the collection, calling it emp. And that emp, we are now displaying how we want it. Okay. Here we are displaying only emp data. Now, if we wanted something else, we could have done that, but we have already done that selection here. So every record is getting displayed. Okay. So that is where we are. So, and we are able to connect it and invoke it from the net. So in the next session, we will expand it further. We'll use forms, and let's see if we can use some bootstrap in the application and check. Okay. So we'll try and add that in the next session. Okay. We'll add a form and take the data from form, and we'll also see how to refine these conditions and get actually matching data. We'll do a little more work, because in regular Mongo it works. In Flask, it seems to be showing some problem that greater than, less than, maybe it's something to do with the data type. We'll have to observe it carefully and rectify that. Okay, so we'll do that, or you can also do it. So, so did you get anything meaningful in this? Now, this is, if you see from a web development point of view, I can't think of any platform, and I have worked with React, Mean, and all of that, and of course your JDBC and all that. I can't think of any platform which is so easy to code. Okay, very easy to connect to the database, very easy to retrieve data. And now we just need to create some UI components, which are material UI or something, where we can show this data carefully, okay, in a tabular form. So you will begin to understand it, and we are also being able to connect to Mongo. So we are building a reasonably good stack and knowledge. And I will tell you this, you will use very often to create a basic project and show it. Okay. A web-based project. It's a very easy to do kind of thing. Okay. So, okay. Now, asking very quickly, did you understand any of it? Because there's lot we did. Okay. At least one person understood something. Okay. My suggestion to all of you who are trying to understand is good. So please try it out on your own also. We have given you a link of that tutorial. Please try that link, and you can do it, some of it on your own. And as you do, you'll understand more. Okay? But all these things you need to do. So though this is a lab exercise, but this is a good way to get some of these ideas. If you have any questions, shoot. Otherwise, we'll close. Can we give sal as int into the database? Yes, that is what we need to do in this. So we need to figure that out. How